welcome back. It's the Danny Dot podcast where I've been turning the hardest lessons into some pretty crack up stories. So grab your coffee, your wine, or whatever gets you through the next half an hour because it's about to get real and maybe even a little bit hilarious. However, what is this? Season 3, episode 11, I believe. I should know this because I actually put it on social media, but I forget. I've actually been pulled up recently because apparently it sounds like I am reading off a script. And I just wanted to be completely transparent with you all today and acknowledge the fact that I have been very forgetful these past 4 months. As I've already distinguished, there has been a lot going on in my brain. So yeah, I was jotting things down, taking a few quick notes as it seems. But yeah, I think everyone vibes the fact that I am so, conversational at the best of times. So the script's gone out the window. I have taken into consideration a whole bunch of examples of life lessons, the lessons that broke you and built you back better. And I will be reading bits of those. However, let's just freeball it. Let's just see what happens. Trigger warning, today's episode does include a bit of a story, including the emotionally unavailable salmon. I haven't even told my nearest and dearest about this just because I don't really know how. So you know how I feel about my podcast. It is kind of therapy and I'm very excited to get this off my chest today. Obviously it's not the most ideal situation and I do feel like this is the biggest lesson, which is random, I know. Everything happens for a reason, but goddamn, honestly. Anyway, I was on the elliptical strider yesterday morning at the gym and I had complete clarity, you guys. I mean, I have not seen this clear in months. I don't even know what happened. I just felt so sparkly and ready to just absolutely just enjoy doing things for myself again. There was no need to, put myself out there, be social. I had this huge motivational drive and it was just unbelievable. There is something to do with my star sign. I am 20 days away from turning 38. So obviously Taurus is my star sign. And the universe is actually telling me this week to start putting myself back together again. So yeah, I am about to book my solo trip. It's definitely something that I'm about, the most randomest thing was I opened my email Monday morning and I had this email from Air New Zealand that basically said the islands are on sale. And what better time to book than when there's a sale, right? So off I trot to the gym and I'm standing there and I'm doing my thing and it was like this epiphany. I was just thinking, holy shit, life's about to get amazing for myself. We are realigning everything and I am so excited. It's like everything that has happened over the past year, 6 months to a year, where there's been a bit of distraction, a bit of fluffy cloud that just, I don't even know. I feel like it was a dark cloud just raining over me. When shit was good, it was good, but when it was bad, it was disgustingly bad. So on Thursday, I went down to my local. It was the eve of another long weekend. We had Anzac Day on the Friday. So many people were out. It was so much fun. I absolutely love those nights. And the unavailable salmon was there. I was not paying attention because guess what? The bloke that sent the text message that said, my communication is shit, all the best for the future, broke it off. That guy, yeah, he was there as well. So, I don't know, I was keeping to myself, minding my own business. Everything was cool. I have a couple of drinks. I noticed this chickie who was sitting opposite me at a different table. I don't know, she was living her best life, having multiple glasses of bubbles. I thought, holy crackers, this girl's a little bit on the drunk side. Let's keep an eye on this. So I watched her walk out to catch transport and she fell in the gutter. So I jumped up as the most considerate person I am and went to go and help her. As I was doing this, the emotionally unavailable salmon was outside vaping and he pulled the fingers at me. And I was just like, okay, you haven't talked to me in 5 months. Are we doing this, are we? Are you actually that mad that you're pulling the fingers? You're not even communicating. That's just how you choose to talk. So I helped this wee girl up and I got her into transport. Everything was fine. I turned around to the salmon and I said, basically, if you want to have a chat, you can have a constructive chat, but I'm not doing this outside, and pulling the fingers is not the most constructive way of discussing things. And he flew. When I tell you the rage, I don't even know if it was pent up emotion or what. The words that came out of his mouth, disgusting. Nobody talks to Danny Doll like that, ever. So obviously, I just kind of entertained the fact that this was happening. I had no reason to, obviously. I could have made a run for it. I chose not to. I was like, if he needs to get it out off his chest, I'm going to do this. I'm going to listen. Big mistake. Huge. Whilst he was having this rant, the pub closed. The transport stopped. So basically he was ranting about some stuff that's just not true. I was furious. Why is this even a thing? Who's been gossiping? Suddenly my sparkly small town that I love so much just suddenly got dark and gross because gossip just absolutely is ingrained in a small town. So I don't know where some of these disgusting gossiping rumor things came from. So I tried to get out of the situation. And obviously he didn't like the way that I was pushing back on what he was saying. He was deflecting. It was just verbal vomit diarrhea, verbal diarrhea at this stage, which was infuriating. I just could not get a word in, and obviously I'm a kind, considerate, slow person, so I just was, in some ways I was letting him vent, in some ways I was like, listen, you need to listen to me, I've had enough. At that stage, he got so wound up, he threatened to punch me, not once, but twice. He was on the phone to someone the second time, so that person heard him say, I'm going to punch her. He raised his arm to me, which is absurd. And at that stage, I managed to get away and made a run for it. I basically was weaving in between trees and bushes, just trying to get myself home. It's not ideal. I don't live that close to a pub, so I was making an actual effort to get out of there. I did come across a friend who lived on the way home, so I did know where there could be a potentially great fence to hide behind. But once I got away, I felt a little bit safer. And the thing is even though I was running and like a little bit, I wasn't worried. I was just more relieved. There was like this weight off my shoulders. Not only had he shown his true colours, which were disgusting, it also gave me the closure that we could actually never be friends again. And I feel like I have been chasing this idea of essentially letting him back in 6 months to a year's time, which it's not favourable, let's be honest. So, I was actually running with a smile, which is the weirdest thing I could probably be honest about. And I don't know. I woke up on Friday morning and there was a little bit of an ick in the air that it had happened. But I'm not one to mull over the fact that he threatened assault. I don't care. Like, I'm a strong female. I have absolutely no intentions of, like, pushing this or even, like, taking this to the police. I thought about it. I have contacts in some pretty fabulous places. I have dropped a few comments. But at the end of the day, the person that he was on the phone to obviously would not stand up in my court to say that he said what he said. It was a he said, she said situation, which I know my 9 to 5 is quite a big one when it comes to evidence. And there was no evidence that it was spoken. It was simply there at the time. So in my brain, I obviously have just pushed it to the side. He's a scum of a human, a disgusting, repulsive male who, if he feels the need to pull back and assault people to get his way when he's deflecting and he's being all disgusting and rude, so be it. But that's not who I am as a person. So we are moving on from this. And that's why I say for the following days, I don't know, I just had this huge clear conscience. It was like the cloud had lifted, that disgusting smog where I was like, do I want him back in my life? Don't I? You don't. So yeah, here we are. It's now currently Tuesday, and what haven't I done? I've got 4 trips to book. I am actually laying the groundwork. I'm taking shit seriously. You know what, guys? I'm actually going to book these trips under the actual excitement of like, I don't give a fuck. I'm honestly going to go, because I seem to be pulling back on the idea of A, traveling solo is scary, and B, every time I go to do it, something in the universe puts something else in front of me where I'm like, damn it, I need to stay. So no, this is about me, and I'm making this choice. Secondly, I have been doing some mind mapping where I don't know what's happened. It is the end of April. It's about to be May. I just brought a new toothbrush. Yes, we're still doing that. But I have this whole big plan for May, and I'm so excited. I actually am, I don't know, there's just this joy and happiness that's back, and it's not coming from anyone's influence except my own. So I've dropped onto this mind map everything that I want to do from now, end of April, all the way through to December. Because let's be honest, there has been a complete write-off of 2025 so far. I'm infuriated with how this year's going. It's just not been good. But I'm going to turn it around, and it starts with me. So all the things health and fitness-wise, right through to the glow-up. I'm not calling it a revenge situation. I don't want that piece of scum back in my life. I'm just going to do things that, obviously I don't chase things, I attract them. So I'm turning things back around onto myself. I want to, I don't know, be Danny again. And I'm super excited to do so. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. I really don't know. So yeah, not the most ideal ending. I might become a hermit for the next couple of months and just stay home and keep out of the watchful eye of pathetic, I don't even know, vultures, should we call them? Just because there's gossip. There's gossip about Danny Dot, and it ain't good, because people have small minds, and I just don't even know where the shit came from. Blows my mind. However, it has been quite funny to tell about 10 of my friends, because I have not had time to be like what this gossip is. It's so outrageous. I can't even mention it because it will make your jaw would hit the floor. I have not had time to be what this gossip is. I have been so busy building this house out in Hanley Farm with Mum and Tom, making some pretty awesome decisions. Also, we've been tidying up the house in Cromwell to get ready for the next steps. Had family here. I've had friends here. I've taken my friends to Arrowtown. As you guys know, we had a really great bowls day in the sun. It just ticked all my boxes. So yeah, wild. So that's just my update and ending on the emotionally unavailable salmon. He can fuck off. Never again. Anyway, so this is a really great, positive, hard lessons type podcast today. I loved how I only posted this morning on my Instagram what the topic was, and it's like you all understood the assignment, the lessons that you guys have had throughout your years. Love it. I am thriving off how you've learned to turn things around and rise above it. It's just my favorite thing. I should share them. I actually should share them. I'm going to take a second this afternoon to try and pull a bit of the chat boxes and try and make things a little bit more readable. I love how you guys just love reading stuff. So obviously something that came up over and over again about someone's hard lesson was that not everyone has good intentions. Even people who seem nice at first, it's like, have you ever had HelloFresh? And when you order like the subscription boxes of food, and then all of a sudden like the first one's great, but the second one's shit. It's like when you meet someone, you think that they're really great, you start up a great friendship, swap socials, rah-de-rah, go to catch up for a drink or a walk or something the next time, and you're just like, oh my God, they're just not who I thought they were. And that's a fast situation. I have people that have discussed with me, obviously, 10-year friendship. Even people who seem nice, they've obviously grown into people that aren't. And that's a lesson in itself. It's like, I'm not saying put your walls up and be kind of protecting your peace, but it's easy enough to do when you do come across friendships and things and everyone changes, evolves. They don't continue that sometimes. So when you think someone has a good intention, there might be an ulterior motive. So that's a lesson. You can't please everyone. There's a lot of discussion about people pleasing, and I have noticed that, I don't know if it's a small town thing, but there is a lot of people pleasers in this town, and it freaks me out. I've almost said it quite obnoxiously. It's obvious on some people's social media where they have like 1,000, 1,500 friends. And what infuriates me the most is if you start, so say if I started a new friendship with somebody else. I'm a bad example actually, because it takes a lot to actually gain my trust and be my friend. So take for example, I don't know, like just a random Joe blog. And they obviously meet someone, they're a really great person. You watch how quickly everyone jumps on that new person to be friends with. There is no substance to that friend. It's just this weird fake rent-a-crowd type friendship. It's like, I don't even know. I'm quite specific with who I want in my circle. And I'm not even going to try to please everyone because it drains you. I am only going to put in the effort to people that reciprocate that effort to me. And that's a huge lesson that I've learned. It took me like 3 years in Cromwell to learn people pleasing is a huge thing here, and it's just not for me. So yeah, I have become a little bit of a recluse socially when it comes to making friends and everything, but that's me trusting my gut and my inner peace that I'm not about to go around and be out and seen over and over again to make sure that I'm pleasing the social circles that I'm part of. No. So, yeah, people pleasing. Oh, makes me uncomfortable. Love isn't always enough. Relationships do also need trust, effort, and timing. This is a huge one for me, you guys. Yes, I do feel like I fall quite quickly. It's almost like a lust thing. And I do now understand that love isn't always enough. You do need multiple components to keep the relationship together. Unfortunately for me, I haven't really spent too much time with a person to actually establish those boundaries and the trust, the effort. It's never really evolved for myself. I do watch, my friends and my family members go through this process as well, and I do understand that it takes a lot. So it's a lesson that maybe something might be quite quick and fast, which I've already done a podcast on. But the lesson is that you can't always depend on love being that sole component to your relationship. I mean, I am on quite a few social media pages on Facebook that are like groups of such that say, I've been with someone for 20 plus years and the love's gone because he's starting to stray. And I'm like, I just always think, well, it's such a communicative thing, love. And you have to keep those lines of communication open. If one person stops that discussion and the trust falls off, I mean, it's going to spiral, let's be honest. So you've got to keep the love nurtured. And the lesson there is that it takes work. So, it's probably not my best example of a lesson, but I am learning. I'm not gonna fall as hard for anyone anymore. Let's just say that I am a slow burn, and I want you to get to know me before anything happens. So yeah, there is a big time component there for myself. Moving on to time is more valuable than money. You can't earn more time. The lesson in that is that obviously we're only here for a certain amount of time on this planet. Honestly, if you want to just throw yourself into learning and being someone, like, it's quite big in Sydney. This is where I think of my time in Sydney. The lesson that I had there was watching the rat race. People always deep dove on university degrees and chasing the dollar signs, making a lot of money. They were always working, 2, 3, 4 jobs. But their relationships and friendships and family time was absolutely compromised. And that's where I learned this lesson, where I had to take a step back. I actually said to my brother the other day something about living in New Zealand is about quality, not quantity. I feel like if you live in Australia, it's a quantity of money that you're earning, but in New Zealand, it's quality of life. And I would much prefer the slow-paced lifestyle of a New Zealand situation than an Australian rat race, because you can always have money. I mean, we're not in New Zealand very smart about money, but I think we treasure the time that we have a lot more with one another. And that's a lesson in itself. We can obviously earn more money, but the time we get with other people and what we can spend our time on is so valuable. So that's just a big lesson of my own. I love how you teach people how to treat you by what you allow. It's true. I do think that I have very strong values, and it's one of those things that I don't take shit from anyone. If you piss me off, you're gone. So you teach people how you want to be treated, and if they can't adhere to that set tone, do not let your life depreciate because someone can't give you back what you're putting in. There's a lot of that going on. I feel like I was only saying to my mum the other day, she's quite shit at communicating. And I said to her, when was the last time you spoke to da-da-da? And she said, over a year. They've been coming and going from Australia. They've got kids everywhere, rah-rah. I said, but what part of this stops you from texting them to say, hey, look, haven't heard from you in a while. Let's catch up when you're back, blah, 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 and just connect that dot. It's easy enough to do. And a big one with my mum is quite obvious, is that she puts in so much effort, but people don't ever put effort into her. And I always say it. I'm like, well, at the end of the day, a friendship isn't always one-sided. If you think that it's one-sided, it's not a friendship. So it's difficult because her generation's a little bit more scratchy than mine. Obviously, I'm a bit of a loudmouth, a high communicator. I've got lots going on. Whereas she is just kind of at that end where she's like slowing down. She doesn't want to be chasing after people, blah, blah, blah. But friendship's not a one-way street. So if she feels like she hasn't heard from someone in a year and a half, whatever, I just look at it like, where's the boundary here? Like, when do you just move on and just think, well, that person's not actually who I thought they were? I don't know. I really don't know. And obviously sometimes you outgrow people, and that's okay. The lesson in that is that we are always evolving and to not take it so seriously. If that person chooses not to be in your life for whatever reason, let them go. What do they say? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. If you let them free, maybe they'll come back in their own time. I don't know. Maybe not. And that's a situation I have right now with my kitten, by the way. No, I'm kidding. Success often comes slower than you think, and faster isn't always better. I've always understood the lesson here is that you should not pursue that wealth is something that happens overnight. There's like a small 0.01% of people that happens to. Unfortunately, I'm not like a garage story like the 42 Below South vodka creation was. That cracks me up. I just honestly think that it's just something that you have to keep nurturing. The lesson here is that if somebody else is doing something and it works for them and they take off, do not try and imitate what they did, but do it at your own pace. It comes slower than you need it to, but faster. Obviously, that's the type of tone it sets if you win lotto. Say if you won lotto on a Saturday and you were all of a sudden instantly wealthy, there's huge implications to that happening. So the lesson here is that if you were to come into, say, $250,000, or you're a successful person that, boom, you are enjoying wealth quite quickly, the slower it is, the more manageable it is. And yeah, I'm a bit of an example, and my lesson for that was last year when I was doing my digital marketing and whatnot. I didn't sort of go on about it. It was something that I was proud of, and I was slow at making it happen for myself, but I understood how to get the tools necessary, and I learnt along the way. I wouldn't just say, what if you could click your fingers and you would just update a part of your brain to know more about crypto or investing so that you could understand how to make wealth a lot faster. I mean, look at the detrimental side effects of winning billions of dollars it has on humans. It's like you don't know how to spend the money. And prime example of my lesson here was that last year when I said I was going to make $10,000, my first $10,000, say, I actually messaged my best mate and I said, right, this is the plan. When I make that $10,000, I'm booking a business class ticket from Brisbane to Dubai on the Emirates A380. That's the prime flight. And it was $10,000. And then I got the $10,000. And you know what? I was like, there's better ways to spend this than that. Are you joking? And the second time that happened, I was about to lay $30,000 on a Jag, the vehicle, and I was on a bit of a seesaw. I was about to invest $50,000 into property or buy a Jag. And obviously the property won. I had a bit of an influence there from external parties, and they did say, hey, Danny, you're not going to make the best decision if you drop $30,000 on a car. So my lesson there was that if success happens and it comes slower than you think, you need to be reminded that faster isn't always better. You don't know how to handle it. And it's just, it's amazing. I can't even describe it. You guys obviously have a big chain of topic around forgiveness. It's for yourselves more than for anyone else. The lesson here is that carrying anger hurts anyone more. So we're not gonna, continue on being angry with people. It hurts everyone. We just forgive and forget. I have multiple examples of forgiving people, even though I don't want to. Because if you keep on being mad at someone, but you guys, I can be mad at the stupid salmon. Okay, so that's okay. We're going to agree with that, all right? That honestly, anger is one of those things that raises your heart rate, your blood pressure, it's cortisol. There's just so many health negatives to carrying anger. So the lesson here is that we're going to forgive and forget. It's 2025. We're moving on. My last 2 dot points here that are rather important is that I find the lesson is happiness isn't found. It's built through habits, mindset, and choices. I don't know how many times last year I said that I was happy, and yet on my 12 grapes under the table at midnight list, I actually said that this year, 2025, I wanted to be happy more than anything. And the weird thing was little things were happening, and I just found myself sitting with such joy in my face. Like I was smiling from ear to ear about the weirdest stuff. And I know that I've shared a few bits and pieces along the podcast chain of episodes, but happiness is something that you obviously don't just come across. You can, obviously, that makes sense. But at the same time, like, look out for those things that where the happiness comes through a habit. And right now, my habit is getting back into health. It's exciting. I love looking after myself. I feel like every time I get distracted, that shitty thing falls off. And I'm like, no, the lesson here is consistency. It's not something that I choose, but it makes me happy. Here we are. That's the lesson. What's the last thing? Someone said, trust your gut. It's usually right faster than your brain. I actually don't know what the lesson is for that though. Trusting your gut. It's usually faster than your brain. Trust your gut. I always say trust your heart. If your heart, weirdly enough, I would say that my heart has played a big part in this. I don't know why. But anyway, some lessons that I want you guys to take into consideration. It is a difficult thing to understand, but you've got to take, obviously, the emotion and heartfelt, funny, inspiring kind of parts out of all of this and say, if there's something that's happened that's quite overwhelming, what was the lesson that we've learned from this? For whatever reason, did it happen? Did something happen fast? Did something happen slow? Was it shocking, or does it make you second guess everything? Because I know that recently I have definitely taken a step back over the past 2 years, I'd say, and thought, whoa, that wasn't meant to happen, or, it's quite interesting. And I do want people to be aware of the lessons that they have in their lives. Everyone's got them. They're all different. And it's funny to think that I've only glanced at my Instagram messages, and I'm excited to throw this episode up and see what you guys say from your Spotify perspective. But yeah, a lesson is somewhat exciting and you learn from it. So that's what we're going to do today. So anyway, it was a weird episode, obviously talking about what had happened to me. We're not going to dwell on it. We don't give a shit. He's a piece of scum, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to say to you guys, thanks for hanging out with me today, reliving some chaos that I like to call growth. If you've learned a lesson the hard way, let's be honest, who hasn't? I need to hear about it. Please drop me a DM in Instagram, leave a review on Spotify, sharing your story. Until next time, which is Tuesday at the best. Remember, the best lessons usually come from the worst bruises. At least they make great stories later in life. Catch you guys next week. Bye.